All right, so every offseason, there's always a move where all of social media goes absolutely crazy. So I decided to come up with some moves that I think would do just that. Let's go talk about it. Let's start this off with Alex Bregman going to the Tigers. After not being able to bring in Bregman last year, if the Tigers figured it out this time around, then man, oh man, I think there would be quite the reaction. Now, last offseason, the Tigers reportedly offered Bregman a 6-year, $171.5 million deal. He ended up taking the short-term, high AAV deal with the Red Sox to bet on himself and then go back out to the market later on, and here he is, back out in free agency after opting out of his contract. Now, to me, because he was a perfect fit with the Red Sox, both on and off the field, I think there's a good chance he goes back to Boston, but things are a bit up in the air right now with the Red Sox since they do need a power bat, and reports out there lately have been saying they're more comfortable with bringing in one of the more high-priced bats out there. But then we got a report not too long ago from John Heyman that they could be inclined to bring in two of the big bats like Bregman and Schwarber or Alonso, so we'll just have to wait and see. But if they are more comfortable just bringing in one of the high-priced bats, then I wonder if Bregman would be that guy, because they do need power in the lineup. So if they end up going for a power bat like Pete Alonso or Kyle Schwarber, what does that mean for Bregman? Could they figure out another solution for third base? They do have Marcelo Meyer who could take over there. So we'll just have to wait and see what they're going to end up doing. But I do think there is a good chance he goes back to Boston since it was such a great fit. But you just never know how the market's going to go, especially when you have Scott Boras as your client. Maybe a team out there really wants to step up with a long-term deal. Maybe they offer him more money than what the Red Sox are willing to give them. Again, we'll just have to wait and see. I do think in the end they're going to come to terms on some kind of a contract, whether that has options, incentives, whatever it may be, because it was such a great fit for both sides. Now, if he doesn't come back, I'm telling you right now, there's going to be a very good portion of Red Sox fans out there that will absolutely explode. Now, there are going to be a lot of people out there that think he's not worth bringing back because he is coming off a quad injury in his 30s, but there are a lot of people out there, including myself, that think he is worth bringing back because he brings so much to the team, both performance-wise, offensively and defensively, but also the intangibles a winning team needs. Not only would a good portion of Red Sox fans flip out, but all of the Yankees fans, the Blue Jays fans, they would troll Red Sox fans for days. You wouldn't hear the end of it. A very big portion of social media would have a lot of fun with that one. In the end, though, again, I do think they're going to figure out a way to keep him around, even if they bring in a power bat like Alonso or Schwarber, because I don't really see another destination out there that not only needs him, but one that is more appealing than the Red Sox at this point. But hey, never say never, and there's definitely a chance he could go elsewhere. I think Detroit could once again emerge as a landing spot because they do need a bat there, and they showed a lot of interest in him in last year. All right, so before we dive deeper into today's video, I want to quickly show you something I've been trying out for the last couple of weeks, and that's MH1 Daily. So MH1 is a brain and focus formula, and you all know me. When it comes to my potato brain, I need all the help I can get. Now, since I've been trying this, just 2 capsules per day, I've had a lot more clarity when it comes to preparing my videos, doing my research, video editing, and whatnot, and I feel locked in throughout the entire day. I've even noticed that I've been taking less naps lately, and I've been able to power through whatever work I have that day. So one thing that I like with MH1 is that it's stimulant-free. I take pre-workout for the gym, so the last thing that I want to take are even more stimulants. Now, with MH1, I don't get that jittery feeling or any of those crashes, more just a steady and calm energy throughout the day, thanks to the solid ingredients that they have. There's bacopa extract for memory and mental clarity, phosphatidylserine for cognitive support, grapeseed extract for blood flow and antioxidants, and green tea extract for stimulant-free focus. Now, at the end of the day, I do think getting a good night's rest along with good nutrition is going to keep you the most focused throughout the day, but for me, on those days when I need a little bit more, this has been fantastic. Lots of people have had great experiences with MH1, and to me, I can see why. So go down to the description below, click the link or scan the QR code on the screen right now to get 25% off your first order and free shipping on your first month for US customers. Big thanks again to MH1. Again, link is down below in the description, QR code on the screen if you want to check it out for yourself. How about Kyle Schwarber to the Pittsburgh Pirates? First off, do I see this happening? Absolutely not. But reports lately are suggesting the Pirates are definitely interested. Now, they were looking at Josh Naylor before he went back to the Mariners, so who knows? Maybe the Pirates are actually serious about pursuing this. And to be honest, they should be. I'm so tired of a great organization with a ton of history like the Pirates not doing anything to make the team better, especially when they have one of the best pitchers on the planet right now in Paul Skeens. In my opinion, Bob Nutting has simply been one of the worst owners in all of sports when it comes to signing off on spending the money to put a great team on the field. I'm sure there's plenty of things he's done well behind the scenes that we're not aware of, but when it comes to putting a good team on the field, he hasn't done that. I mean, maybe they could sell him on the opportunity of being one of the guys that ended up helping turn the Pirates around. However, another problem is, even if they did sign him, would that completely solve their issues? Over the last 3 years, the Pirates have ranked dead last in home runs, 29th in OPS, and 28th in WRC+. Now, sure, Schwarber would definitely help with all of that, but the Pirates would need more, in my opinion. Now, I could see Schwarber's presence in the middle of the lineup being able to take some load off of guys like Brian Reynolds and Spencer Horwitz. And if Connor Griffin ended up coming up and is indeed the real deal, then yeah, I could see some motion there, but I still think they would need to make more upgrades. O'Neal Cruz, Jared Triolo, and Nick Gonzalez weren't very effective last year, with each of them posting an OPS under 700, and Jack Sawinski, who they just tendered a contract to, posted a negative Fangraph wins above replacement. So realistically, do I see Schwarber being an option for them? Not really, because even if they did actually want to do the unthinkable and sign him, they would have other areas to address, and that would mean more money to spend. I don't even have faith for them to open up the checkbook for Schwarber, let alone signing other guys as well. Would I love it though? Absolutely. And Twitter would go absolutely nuts if it happened. Now, as for another team that I think could be an option that could also cause the interwebs to explode, would be the Cincinnati Reds. I think they're actually in a much better position than the Pirates, since they also need bats, but they have a lot more offensive talent there while just making it to the postseason. So I think the Reds right now are in a much better position to sway him there. If I'm Schwarber, I could see his hometown Reds being a much more viable option at this point, but in the end, I think a return to the Phillies makes the most sense. He has such a great relationship with the organization and the city, and they have the money to get it done. Or maybe he can go to the Red Sox. They really want to bring him back after he helped them out in 2021. Again, I would love it if the Pittsburgh Pirates or even the Cincinnati Reds stepped up, but I think in the end, he'll go back to the Phillies or maybe the Red Sox. If any top free agent went to the Dodgers at this point, then you know Twitterland will have an absolute meltdown, especially if it was Kyle Tucker. Now, coming into the offseason, I thought the Dodgers were a perfect spot for Tucker. Then we got reports that maybe they were more on the periphery for him, and they would be more open to a short-term, high AAV deal. Lately, we have been getting reports that the Blue Jays could be the favorites, but they just signed Dylan Cease to a long-term deal. So does that mean they're going to be out on Kyle Tucker at this point? I'm not so sure, but the Blue Jays, they're always aggressive every single offseason, and especially after being 3 outs away from winning the World Series before they ended up losing it to the Dodgers, I could absolutely be them seeing aggressive here. Why not go after Kyle Tucker, especially when they have the money, even after signing Dylan Cease? And I could definitely see them offering him a long-term deal, but I do wonder, because of the Dylan Cease signing, how far they would be willing to go, and they also have to figure out what's going to happen with Bo Bichette. Are they going to bring him back as well? So I think things are a little bit up in the air. I do expect the Blue Jays to continue to be aggressive this offseason, but I just wonder if they're going to go as far for Kyle Tucker. And that, to me, opens the door for the Dodgers. They need to make an upgrade in the outfield. I know you might be rolling your eyes at that statement. Robbie, they need to make an upgrade. What are you talking about? They've won back-to-back World Series, but Michael Conforto, who they signed last offseason, ended up being a bust for them. So if they could make an upgrade anywhere, it could be in the outfield. And Kyle Tucker, I could see thinking, hey, the Dodgers, that looks like a pretty good spot. Hey, back-to-back World Series, players like going there. I mean, things are looking good in Dodgerland right now. Then again, I could see some other teams getting involved, like the Yankees, Mets, or the Phillies, but they all have their own question marks as well. So I wonder how aggressive they would go after Tucker, especially when he's looking for the big bucks. So in the end, could that open the door for the Dodgers if they end up just being patient? Maybe they offer him a short-term, high AAV contract, and then perhaps they could rework the deal down the road. I would say right now his market is a bit up in the air, and if it doesn't come to fruition like he's looking for, and if the Dodgers stay patient, I could absolutely see them swooping into the end and getting a deal done. And you know, if that happens, all of Twitter will absolutely melt down. Speaking of the Mets, I think Cody Bellinger signing with them would cause utter chaos from multiple angles. Now, first off, you know if Bellinger doesn't go back to the Yankees, not only will Yankee fans erupt in absolute anger, but everyone who hates the Yankees will be laughing hysterically and trolling into oblivion. And then if you add the Mets signing him into that mix, then oh my goodness, I don't think Yankee fans would hear the end of it. They lost Juan Soto to them last year, and could you imagine if they lost Bellinger too? I do think a return to the Yankees makes a lot of sense though, and I think it can absolutely happen. He was a great fit at Yankee Stadium, posted great numbers there, and his versatility fits that team very well because they do lack a bit of versatility there. However, with the Mets trading Brandon Nimmo to the Rangers along with a Pete Alonso return being up in the air, I think they could be a serious threat to land him as well. Now, I think you could see some other teams get in the mix too, perhaps the Phillies. I just mentioned them for Kyle Tucker. Bellinger would be a cheaper option, but they are looking to make an upgrade over Nick Castellanos, who I do expect them to move at some point since he has regressed over the last couple of years. Or maybe the Blue Jays. We were just talking about them for Kyle Tucker. Again, Bellinger would be a cheaper option, so maybe they go that route, especially if Bo Bichette ends up going elsewhere. Maybe the Angels, after trading away Taylor Ward, if they wanted to spend some money, and maybe they could sway him to go back to LA. In the end, though, if he goes to the Mets, we're never going to hear the end of it. Let's say Cody Bellinger does end up leaving the Yankees, then maybe they could turn their attention to someone by the name of Fernando Tatis Jr. Now, do I think the Padres are going to trade Tatis? No, but if they did decide to do it, could you imagine the pandemonium on social media if the Yankees figured out how to bring him in? Now, Michael Kay brought up the idea recently, which did get a lot of traction.
Now, what do the Yankees need this year? They need a right-handed bat, right? Fernando Tatis is 26 years old, and I see the bidding for Bellinger gets over $30 million. I might have to tap out. And if there's some team that's willing to step up and break the bank, I don't think the Yankees will. That's when I make my pivot to Fernando Tatis Jr. I would make a phone call to A.J. Preller. What do you need? What do you want? We got a deep farm system, this type of player that would play huge in New York. He has a no-trade clause through 2028. I think with his theatrical flair, he would waive that clause to go to the Yankees.
But then Ken Rosenthal came out and said that's probably more fantasy. Now, I'll say this. As a Red Sox fan, I've seen the Yankees firsthand pull off big trade after big trade after big trade, especially in the offseason. I mean, go all the way back to 2004 when they landed Alex Rodriguez, Randy Johnson back in 2005, Giancarlo Stanton back in 2018, Juan Soto a couple of years ago. Brian Cashman has a knack for pulling off big trades, especially in the offseason. Now, the Padres would have to want to trade him first off, and again, I think that is pretty unlikely. Even with whatever's going on with their payroll, he's one of the best players in the game on a very friendly salary right now, so that's someone I could see the Padres wanting to keep, and I think that's someone that they should keep. Now, if they ever did need to move him, I would wait a couple of years when his salary starts to go up, but if the payroll is that much of an issue, then maybe they feel like they need to get out of it now while they can. Maybe this could be a way to get out of one of the bad contracts of Xander Bogaerts or Manny Machado, which are going to age horrifically. They're not looking great right now. If they paired one of them with Tatis, even then though, I don't know, that probably wouldn't work for the Yankees. So if there was any sort of a deal, it would probably just be straight up. Now, the Yankees do have some young, cost-controlled talent and prospects they could send back in some kind of a package that I could see the Padres maybe being interested in. You could lead it with a young, cost-controlled player like Ben Rice, Austin Wells, Jason Dominguez, Will Warren, or Cam Schlittler, and they can include prospects as well. You got guys like George Lombard Jr., Spencer Jones. You got some pitching prospects there as well, like Carlos LaGrange or Emil Rodriguez Cruz. Again, though, it takes two to tango, and I just don't see the Padres going this route, at least for right now. But when money is a factor, anything can happen. And if this did happen, then man, oh man, I think the baseball world would absolutely collapse. But everybody, those are my thoughts. Those are the moves that I think that would absolutely break Twitter. Give you some other moves down below in the comments. I would love to see the ideas that you come up with. But everybody, that's all I got for right now. If you can on the way out, hit the like button, subscribe if you're new, and I'll talk to you next time.